Lisa and I welcome Sierra Sil to our podcast. Got a grumpy old man in your life? Change that. Okay, not that way. Sierra Sil Natural Mineral Joint Pain Relief with a money-back guarantee at Shoppers, London Drugs, and the best health food stores.
Head over to SierraSil.com, SIERRASIL.com. Use your code GF and get 10% off your purchase.
Well, hey there, number 36 of Gracefully and Frankly. Welcome in. How you doing, Lisa Brandt?
I'm doing all right, Aaron Davis. We've got a lot to talk about with you in the trailer this week.
I am.
You'll explain, I'm sure.
I have recorded now from an Airbnb, from a hotel or a cabin, which I did last time, from a trailer. I'm hearing a little bit of echo in here, and you will hear the odd car or pickup truck go by because we are on a hilly, mountainy space in West Kelowna where I haven't really seen any fire damage, even just driving around, because most of those areas are still closed off. But yeah, we're still on a boil water order, which I forgot about the first night I was here. I had my water, I had my soda stream, and then Leslie said, "Where'd you get that water?" Yeah, out of the tap. Dope. So anyway, I live to tell about it, but who knows? Might lose a few pounds. I don't know. No, I'm fine. I think.
Good.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll check in with you and find out.
Yes, we will. Or maybe not. I mean, last week we touched on colonoscopies, and that's enough of that. We don't need any more of that. Medically speaking, though, a few things to get to, and that is, Lisa's been kind of reluctant to share with you her CPAP woes, but we are going there because you made it public. And there will be, of course, on our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page, a link to Lisa's blog about it and the responses from people who are also just like, oh, this machine's driving you crazy. So we'll talk about that.
I was under the impression that angels sang and fairies came along and everything was sweetness and light as soon as you put this mask on when you need it. But apparently that's not the truth. So I was misled. Huh.
Ew, I'm so sorry about that. Are Canadians getting angrier? And why do we think that is? Plus, think about this. If you're getting a booster this fall for COVID and its variants, why does it matter which arm you get it in? Think on that. Well, we tell you why it's important which pillow you put your head on.
Yeah, it should be an Envy pillow. At least we think so for sure. The V in Envy gives you a hint about the shape of the pillow. You don't squish your face. It's the most wonderful, relaxing, supportive, and comfortable way to sleep with all sustainable ingredients. And Kim and Kathy are just wonderful people who did this, invented this pillow for all the right reasons. And it's paying off because there's integrity behind it, right?
Oh, 100%. Where your old pillow or the one you're using now can cause sleep wrinkles, worsen your posture, and they harbor dangerous mold and bacteria. The Envy pillow reduces and prevents wrinkles, properly aligns and supports your neck and spine, and kills 99% of acne-causing bacteria. So there you go. And you can learn more by going to envypillow.com, E-N-V-Y, as Lisa said, pillow.com. And we've even got a little bonus for you.
Yeah, you can get 10% off anything you buy online by using the code GF, obviously for gluten-free. No, Gracefully, Frankly. Yeah.
Good friends.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually on the road as we do this, and I've done a few from the road, I think, Lisa. Have you? Have you done any Gracefully and Frankly's with me from an actual remote location?
I don't think I have. And we've been talking about me doing something from Italy, but that means dragging my laptop and microphone around. So I don't know that that's going to work. But you sound great. I don't hear anything odd.
You will.
Okay.
I'm in a little teeny teardrop trailer, and it's as cute as a button. I've got this thing for tiny spaces, Lisa, and I never want to be cured of it. Do you ever drive past one of the big box stores and you see they've got all those little sheds out in the parking lot?
Yes.
I look at those and I go, I want to live there. What is wrong with me? Do you have time for that today?
There's a thing about tiny spaces and about, I don't know, it would be so easy to keep organized. And it's like, what am I going to do today? Well, I don't have many choices because my space is so tiny. I don't know.
Well, I love this. And I'm sitting in my sister Leslie and Paul's garage. The teardrop trailer that got hauled over to a place that wasn't evacuated is now back, but there's a lot of traffic that goes by. And I swear to you, Kelowna has got to be the pickup truck capital of British Columbia. I mean, more pickups than anywhere except Alberta. So you hear a lot of them going by with all the extra tires and all the extra noise and all the extra. But anyway, that's where I am. I came here last Saturday and have been spending a lot of time with my dad and helping Leslie out and doing a lot of late night talks with Leslie and her husband. I am a cheap therapist, but I'll tell you that I'm worth every cent.
How's your dad doing these days?
Oh, he's deteriorating physically, like getting up out of the
Oh,
couch takes 2 or 3 times to get him up to his walker. Mentally, of course, he does the sundown thing, which anyone who knows somebody with dementia will attest to, as you will, right?
yeah, absolutely. My dad, first thing in the morning and sort of before bedtime were the times. First thing in the morning is when I'd get yelled at for whatever I did in his dream, and later at night he's exhausted.
Yeah, that's it. And now what we're finding is, and I'm really kind of glad to be here to witness this. I know what Leslie's going through in terms of the hygiene and the care and his scheduling and his preferences and everything. But a really tough part of it is once he's tucked into his beddy bed with his toque on, his University of Alberta toque. He always says Alberta at the front. And I say, yes, Dad. And he gets tucked into bed. And then Leslie has cameras, so she knows that he's up. So she said to me, okay, you go do it. So Dad's up. He's got his slippers and his robe on. He's walked to the door. And now he has to find out what time the flight is tomorrow, how much of the stuff he's got to pack,
Oh,
what time are we waking up. So we kind of take a military stance to it because Dad was military for most of his career. And I said, okay, Dad, we're getting up at 700 hours. We're going to have lots of time for breakfast. We know you like to get to the airport early. Everything is all taken care of just like you want it. And then this happened again. Often it'll be a third and fourth time that he's up and, he just has all these questions and concerns. Finally, I moved my suitcase out of his bedroom because I thought, okay, that may be triggering him a little bit. I came out of the bedroom and I said to Leslie, it's all like what you learn at Second City. It's yes and.
yes.
Yes and. Whatever he says, you don't go, no, Dad, that's not happening. Go to
Yep.
bed. It's just like, yes and.
Yep.
And it's really valuable to learn that. And I'm feeling quite honored and humbled to be doing that and so grateful that I don't do it every night.
Yeah, no kidding. It is tough, but distraction is such a great thing when somebody has dementia, answering the question and then going on to something else, or just making sure that whatever it is, you're not opposing them and making them upset. Because who cares if they've got it right or not? Like, it does not matter.
Can I tell you something I did wrong the other day, though? Dad and I were sitting out. I put it in my journal, a little bit of us harmonizing to Bye Bye Blackbird. That journal was Tuesday at erindavis.com. But I thought, oh, okay, he's enjoying that. And then I played him some Mills Brothers, Paper Doll, and he sang along with that. And then I went through and I found a couple of recordings of Lauren singing with her high school orchestra. And he was saying, who is that? And I said, that's our daughter. That's your granddaughter. That was with her high school band. And he said, oh, she must be mature now. And what do you think I did? I said, no, Dad, we lost her when she was 24. And he just broke into tears.
Oh, no.
And he started to cry. And I said, Dad, I'm so sorry. And he said, oh, so much talent. And I said, well, Dad, it's been 8 years and she gave us a beautiful grandson. And when you have your nap this afternoon, you can see her in your dreams. And then what I didn't say was, and then you're going to forget all about this. But that was my mistake. Part of me wanted him to know that she wasn't here anymore, but I should have just kept my mouth shut. And this is the advice that so many people who deal with dementia patients are told. If you tell them No, Dad, your parents died 50 years ago. They go through that loss all
Yeah.
over again, afresh.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to bring that up again. I'm just not.
And there you go. I mean, all right, you did it once and now you know, won't be doing that again. And
Nope.
no harm done. Like you say, he's forgotten it. It's just that momentary upset and then he moves on, which is one of the blessings of when you have dementia is that you don't linger in it. It's constantly fluid. It's constantly moving. I think it's harder on the people around him than it is on him most of the time, especially if he's gotten to the point where it's more in dementia than out. I know the kind of part in, part out thing with my father was just absolutely awful. He would realize that he had said something wrong or missed something and it would hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
But once he was fully in dementia, it seemed to be a lot easier.
If we could have something like that, would you take that pill so things didn't hurt? Or I guess perhaps we would just keep learning the wrong lessons every single day if we didn't remember them.
Yeah, it would end up being like 51st dates, with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler, where every morning you start over again. No, I don't think I would take the pill. I mean, I'm sure there was a time when I would have, when my heart was broken or something, but would you?
Oh, some days. All right, enough of this sadness and stuff. We're moving on to the stuff that makes Canadians angry. What was that you read, that Canadians are getting angrier? Is that just the internet making that happen, or what's the story there, Miss Lisa?
It kind of is the internet making it happen. It's having been through the pandemic and this country being on fire and war in Ukraine and all these other things going on. We're also spending too much time on social media. I know I do. Although I try to be really careful about what I read. And it's also people who feel entitled to tell you about your business. And they do that mostly online too. So a recent poll, according to the Toronto Star, found that 1/3 of Canadians have just given up on social media. And I respect that. But there's also a way to make it so that it isn't all just angry stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's what you choose is what you get. And I just don't engage with any of that stuff.
Yeah, well, my sister Leslie said that to me the other night. She said, I don't know how you can be on Twitter. It's so awful. And I said, no, it's all about who you follow and who you block. You don't have to subscribe, or I just push that block button like it's feeding me candy. I love blocking idiots. And especially if there are people who are being nasty on my threads, then I mute them so they don't know that they're being blocked, which is even better.
Yeah.
So you can control the feed. You control what's coming in. You control what you click on in the morning and, what you want to indulge in. You don't have to let that anger come flowing through your front door first thing in the morning.
I thought about you, actually. You talked about this a while ago. What you choose to start your day with can set the tone or whatever. And I started my day, somebody who claims they know how my career worked better than I did. And it just got to a point where I realized, oh my goodness, I can't really do anything here. They're never going to agree that my lived experience was actually valid. They're stuck with their own opinion and it's going to stay that way. And there was even a little bit of condescension, like, well, you don't really know how it worked type of thing. And
yeah,
my whole morning, I could have bitten the head off a weasel. The anger was up there. And the one thing I didn't do was go onto social media at that point, because who knows what would have rubbed me the wrong way.
Exactly. And of course, now we're seeing an uptick in all of the vaccination and anti-vax sentiments because people are being urged to get their boosters this fall. There is this variant. Is it going to affect kids at school and all this kind of thing? And people who've made up their minds, you're not going to change them. People who had family members die of COVID were in denial that it was COVID. So if it comes that close to your home, and you're not kind of getting the light, then it's not going to happen. And there's just no point in arguing it. But I did come across a story that I thought, oh, well, this is interesting for those of us who are very excited even about getting the next booster. And that was the question I asked at the opener. And that was, does it matter which arm you get your booster in? And it turns out that the answer is yes.
Now, here's what I'm wondering. Okay, so you're supposed to get the booster in the same arm all the time because that increases your chances of it being more effective? Is that what that is?
That's what it is. Very good. You go right to the front of the class.
But here's my question. Do they write down what arm they put it in? Because I can't remember.
Well, that's the thing, too. A lot of people say, well, I don't remember. Neither, for the most part, will be the person who gives you your shot, because how many of us have gone to different ones? Because it's just, whatever's convenient. But it turns out that, it's kind of up to us to remember. Now, I always have it in my left arm because my right is my dominant hand. But apparently, 2 weeks after receiving a booster, the number of killer T cells was significantly higher in those who had had both shots in the same arm, according to this study, which was on CNN Health. And those T cells, which attack and destroy the other cells they target, were present in 2/3 of the same arm cases and only under half in people who had their injections in different arms. It all has to do with your lymph nodes. So try and make a note or try and remember which arm and then get ready for that.
It's funny because, I've given a lot of blood lately for different things, and I had that PICC line years and years ago. I still have the scar from when I had sepsis. And so it's always a different arm. I'm just always holding them up and going, which one looks better? Take one.
Yeah.
And it's never occurred to me to keep track of which one is going in. So I got to pay more attention.
Well, everybody was paying attention when we heard the news that the Sultan of Sangria and Beach Vibe, Jimmy Buffett, died last weekend. It was a surprise and a shock, but I guess he'd been living with cancer for 4 years?
Yeah, sadly, for his beach bum lifestyle and the parrot heads out in the sunshine and everything, he died of skin cancer. And, I don't think any of us is absolutely immune, especially if you're of a certain age and you baked in the sun with a baster and on a rotisserie.
That's us.
Like we used to do, go out there and, how brown can I get? Not the healthiest thing to do.
Very sad, but what a story for this guy. It turns out Bob Dylan named him his favorite songwriter. Take that in for a minute. He was such a bard of the beach, and he had that one song that entered the top 10, Margaritaville, which just captured such a vibe, and he turned it into a $1 billion enterprise.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he would call Warren Buffett the bazillionaire who has actually given so much of his money away. He called Warren Buffett his uncle. They were not related. They did a DNA test, but Warren helped Jimmy to kind of focus where his funds and his businesses should go. And not all of them were successes, like his Cheeseburger in Paradise chain, which was, I think, part of Outback. I'm not sure. But the whole Margaritaville vibe, $1 billion enterprise. Oof, that's incredible.
It is incredible. And you have all the money in the world. I've been working on this audiobook and they mentioned Steve Jobs a lot and all these other people.
Yeah.
And if you don't have your health, you've got squat. So he gave us an awful lot with one song, didn't he?
Didn't he though?
I mean, there were more songs, of course, but that one is the one that most of us know.
Yes. And also, ironically, dying on the Friday of Labor Day weekend. And of course, his first notable song called Come Monday had the lyrics heading out to San Francisco on this Labor Day weekend show. I've got my hush puppies on. I guess I never was cut out for glitter rock and roll. And you go, oh, wow. And he died heading out on the Labor Day weekend. So we were talking about anger, my dear. We all have our issues, and hopefully we're all handling them better as we age, although we do seem to be getting crankier, as you pointed out. But what makes you angry? And there's no judgment. It can be a little thing. It can be a huge thing. And we would love to hear everybody's comments on our Gracefully and Frankly page. And it's not to engage more anger from other people, but maybe by saying it, you'll go, oh, I should deal with that, or, oh, that's so silly. So what makes you angry?
The thing that makes me I think the angriest, I mean, I get upset over injustice. And when I see women being treated badly in other countries, there's all sorts of big things that make me angry. But the little thing that makes me angry is something getting caught on something, like the vacuum cord gets caught under a piece of furniture, or I've got the hose outside and the hose gets stuck under the barbecue. And I thought it was just hoses and cords. And then I dropped a shopping bag and it got hooked on something underneath the seat of my car. And I was pulling on that thing like a lunatic. So it's things getting caught on things. Does that make sense?
Well, I told you it's a no judgment zone. So if you think it makes sense, it makes sense.
What about you?
No, my goodness. Oh, I'm right up there with injustice, unfairness. I've been talking with my sister Leslie about all the anger she holds over her son's murder. Oh boy, I'm really cheery these days. Who hasn't slept well in a different bed without the right amount of caffeine? Raise your hand. But she's got so much anger about her son's murder and the fact it hasn't been solved. And she can't grieve publicly because he was involved in the drug trade, which he was getting out of. He had found a new job. There's just so much anger that she hasn't dealt with and can't afford to deal with because psychiatry, yeah, it's free, but you're going to wait 9 years. Psychologists' shrinks are so expensive. So there's all that. And she's just work, trying to keep bills paid, trying to keep my dad happy and healthy, trying to keep her family going. And so there's so much anger there. And I see real reasons for anger. The unfairness that I feel about losing our daughter, I go, yeah, ours was unfair. Yours is freaking infuriating. So, we're not supposed to compare grief. But Leslie and I have just grown so close over this. So, it's one of those little side gifts that comes with the jagged little pill. But what makes me angry is just, and again, Rob will remind me, my dear, wise Rob, never confuse thoughtlessness with malice. Right. But it's just people's thoughtlessness all the time, Lisa. It's me. And when Leslie tells me how awful it was in some of the seniors' residences while the COVID lockdowns were on, all because people refused to wear a piece of paper or fabric or thought they knew better. And it's just like, why can't you think about other people instead of yourself? Nobody is putting chips in your brain. Nobody's trying to lessen the population of the planet. I get so angry that there is just so much misinformation coupled with gullibility, a lack of education, and an inability to think critically. Boy, that's a big one. Sorry, it should be chords on things.
I think, I think the education part is a huge issue, that not everybody has had access to the same knowledge. And it's funny because the more educated some people are, the more they know how little they know. And
that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about back to school this week? Are you having a yearning, watching the school buses go by and feeling, I know last week you talked about the smell and the sound of the of corduroys, the swish going by. Oh my gosh, I don't miss it. I was always such a wreck.
No.
And the recurring dream of not being able to find your locker and being late for school.
Yeah, and that wasn't just a dream.
Right.
That high school moment starting grade 9, I think I spent most of the first day in the bathroom just hiding out. I was so nervous. But no, I don't. We got a heat wave here right at the end of the long weekend, and it sort of took away the nostalgia. When it was feeling a little cooler, I kind of felt it.
You blogged last week about your CPAP machine. Boy, are you having some hassles with that. And I'm so glad you went public with that. Did you get many responses from people who have also had a terrible time adjusting?
Yeah.
And it's not like your hearing aids where you can take them back and they say, okay, we'll get you another pair. They just won't. And you're out of pocket hundreds of dollars.
Well, here's the thing. I got lots of responses from people who said, just hang in there. It could take a while. It'll be totally worth it. The one response that changed everything was from a woman named Monica, who I know a little bit, but I didn't know that she worked for 10 years with sleep apnea patients. And she said, if you've been diagnosed with moderate sleep apnea, which I have, and you don't do something about it, you could be knocking 10 years off your life. And I thought that was a pretty good reason to keep going. So I'm going to hang in there and see if I can't make it work.
Well, you better. We're only at episode 36. We've got a lot of episodes ahead of us, miss.
That's right.
And I want you to repeat that line as though you were doing a commercial that shows up on CNN. If you are suffering from even mild.
Right. If you're suffering from even mild sleep apnea, it may cause diarrhea.
See your doctor if you're experiencing any of these symptoms.
If erection lasts for more than 4 hours,
call your friends. Come to my house.
Take a picture.
Oh, God, no. That's all we need. More dicks on the internet. Jeez. Hey, how about we do this again next week? I promise I will be well rested and back in my little home studio with Miss Dottie snuffling around my feet again, okay? How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic. I can't promise I'll be any better rested, but I'll definitely be here.
I wish I could do something to help you, but anyone who can't sleep, it's just a special kind of hell. And I know this is where I always say there are Drift with Erin sleep stories, but listen, you hear me enough all the time without listening to me trying to talk you to sleep. So I don't need to be one of those voices in your head all the time.
That's okay. It's just sleep. I'll survive. You know, parents of toddlers get through it. It's all good.
All right, my love. Thanks so much to NV Pillow for helping us. When you got to toss and turn, it's a darn comfortable place. As a matter of fact, right now, my microphone, and I swear to God this is true, is sitting against my NV Pillow that I brought from home. My little travel one made it into my suitcase, as always. And it'll be good to be home on my full-size one. And we're just grateful to Kathy and Kim and everybody at NV Pillow for making this free to you. So we'll talk to you next week for episode 37. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, we promise. And I won't be in a trailer unless I am. Who knows?
I always knew you were the trailer tripe, Erin Davis.
I know. Trailer tripe. Okay, that's a new one.
Oh, my goodness. I'm Lisa Brandt. Have a good one. Thanks for listening.
I'm Erin Davis. Toot toot.